So I know I said in the last video, let's finish up the drive, but that didn't happen. So now let's finish up the drive. Let's go. Back in 2017, I began a full restoration of my 96 Bayliner by tearing it apart all the way down to the hull. From there, I began the rebuilding process, which included learning to fiberglass, rebuilding an engine and outdrive, learning to fare and paint, and even upholstery. Now, I've bought a 28-foot cabin cruiser, and I'm starting all over. Welcome, my name's Jared. Now get ready, because it's going to be a ship show. What's going on, guys? My name is Jared, and welcome back to the channel. In this episode, we are finally going to finish up the outdrive. I have a few things left to do to it before it's ready to go back on the boat. Now, I can't put it back on the boat yet, obviously, because the engine's still out, so that's going to have to happen first. But to wrap up this drive, I need to get a coat of paint, anti-fouling paint and primer on the trim rams, and I need to get the anodes installed on the drive and a couple of small other odds and ends, and then this thing is going to be literally ready to go. So, without further ado, let's dive into getting all these new anodes on, getting the trim rams finished up, and show you those other odds and ends. Let's go. All right, guys. So what I have here on the bench is my new anode kit. Now, I am operating this boat in brackish water, so I'm going to be running aluminum alloy anodes. If you are in solely fresh water, you can actually run magnesium anodes, and that will offer you a little bit more protection. But because I'm in brackish, I will be going in with aluminum, and I have my kit here. It comes with all new bolts, washers, anodes, basically everything you need to replace it. There are a couple here that I don't have out of the bag yet because I can't put these on quite yet because the props, I'm going to do one other thing to those. So this is the Bravo 3 prop anode. This was actually added in later versions of the Bravo 3 drive. The original ones didn't have this. And then these two anodes, these actually go on the trim rams themselves, and we'll see that in a little bit when I get the trim rams repainted. Then we can reinstall the new anodes. Now, these three here are actually ready to go on the drive behind me, but there's a couple quick things I want to do and show you before we do that. So let's dive in here. All right, so before I get these anodes installed, what I did is I decided to go through with the two different taps for the bolt threads for the anodes. Reason being is, one, I might have gotten a little bit of paint in there when I was doing the anti-fouling, and two is we want to make sure we're mating those bolts to as clean a threads as possible. This front anode plate is a 3/8/16, I believe, yeah. And then the two plate anodes that go underneath the back of the anti-cavitation plate are a 7/16 by 14. So again, went through, chased those threads. So at that point, the anodes were ready to go on. So I got the anode in place, did the front one first with the two 3/8 bolts with two lock washers underneath, tighten them down. I don't think torque really matters. There's probably a spec. I just tightened it till it felt good. And then on the back one, same thing, went in with the two bolts. The longer, I believe 1 3/4 bolts goes in the more forward anti-cavitation plate anode, and then the rear one has the shorter, I think 1 1/4 bolt that goes up through the bottom. I did put some Permatex gasket sealer on those threads, the same stuff I always use. I've seen people use blue Loctite. It really doesn't matter. Really, the main point is you want to make sure it doesn't vibrate loose over time. Again, my theory is, one, vibration, keep it from rattling loose, and two, really just to keep any water out of those threads, accelerating that corrosion. So just to prove a point and make myself feel a little bit better, I'm going to grab a multimeter and we're going to check for continuity from this anode to the aluminum of the body, and that will prove to ourselves that one, those threads are clean, and two, that forma gasket material is not insulating those threads. Because once you tighten down threads enough, whether it's thread locker or this gasket maker or whatever, when you torque it down enough, that material is going to displace between those threads. But just to prove a point, let's get the multimeter and check it. All right, so I got my multimeter here, so let's check the resistance from the anode to some exposed metal. Kind of thinking maybe these nuts or bolts down here where the two halves go together. Unfortunately, when you paint the drive, everything's kind of got a coat of paint on it, so I guess I could go to the prop shaft too, but that's going through seals and stuff, so might not be the best connection. So we got our amp probe multimeter set to resistance, So I'm going to probe on this stud here, push in pretty good, take the other probe, and we're going to touch on this front anode. And I'm getting 0.1 ohms, so perfectly normal. So let's check these back ones. 0.1, next one, 0.1, all good. Just for sanity check, I'm going to see what happens when I check the prop shaft. Yeah, see, so I'm getting about 1 ohm there, which that is not that crazy because, like I said, there's seals, there's roller bearings that have like a film of oil on them and things like that. So I would expect the resistance to be a little bit higher, but as long as there's continuity, it's fine. If that showed open, that would be bad because that means your prop shaft is not making a good connection with the rest of the case, and then you'll have corrosion issues. But everything seems to be good in terms of continuity. So those anodes are good to go. Now let's get those trim rams painted up and keep going. All right, guys, we have got the trim rams painted. Obviously didn't go too much into detail on that because you've seen me do that on here. It was exactly the same process: sand, clean, prime, paint, all that. Now that these things are finished painted, the next step was to go ahead and install the anodes. And same thing on this is I went through and I tapped the holes that are for the screws that mount the anodes, again, just to clean out any paint that may have gotten in there and any corrosion that was existing from before. That is a 1032 tap or thread. The tricky thing with that is you can't really get a tap wrench on there because obviously those trim cylinder caps are tapped when they're disassembled, but because of the ram or the rod in the center of it, it's tough to get tools in there, so it's a little fiddly. Took a few minutes, but wasn't too bad. So after I got those holes cleaned out, it was time to mount the anodes. That was also a little weird because the nut driver I had, it's a 5/16 nut driver for those two screws that hold the anodes on, and I couldn't find a single socket or nut driver that actually fit into the casting hole in the anode for clearance for the driver. So I ended up actually I had two of these fortunately, so I took one of my 5/16 nut drivers and ended up taking it over to the bench grinder and the drill and basically grinding down the OD of it until it ended up fitting into that pocket in the casting, so I could actually get a nut driver on the screw to tighten those screws. Again, on those I ended up just using typical Permatex gasket maker, same thing I used on the anode bolts on the drive. So after we got the anodes tightened down, the next step was to install the two continuity wires from my continuity kit that I've already installed most of in a previous video, but obviously I was waiting for these trim rams to be refurbished before mounting the new trim or continuity wires. You can see those, they're right here, these little dangly bits. They just mount to these little cover plates, and these will then get attached to a screw on the drive once I get these trim rams installed. It's pretty straightforward, just take the screw out that I had already mounted and then put the continuity wire under it, tighten it back down. But once that was done, I just wanted to again double check myself like I did on the drive itself, and I took my multimeter and ended up probing the anode to the end of this continuity wire. So that's obviously the ground path. So checked continuity from the anode to this wire, and I was getting still around like 0.2 to 0.4 ohms, so perfectly within reason, totally normal. Again, just looking for a low resistance path, not an open circuit or thousands of ohms. So, and just to check myself, everything else on here that was exposed metal, I probed the hydraulic lines and stuff like that, and everything was showing a good continuity reading. So I feel good that this is ready to go. Got the anti-fouling paint on, got the anodes replaced, continuity wires, everything's checking out. So these things are officially good to go. Now, obviously I can't put this on the boat yet because the drive can't go on until the engine's back in. So this is unfortunately just going to get shoved off to the side for the time being and going to live in a corner until the engine's back in the boat, which I need to get my butt in gear on because it's already middle of March and I got a boat slip reserved. All right, guys, I think that is officially going to do it for this video. Once again, I hope you guys found this useful, informational, all that good stuff. And for me, it feels great to have one more thing checked off the list. Now I can push the stuff into the corner, like I said, and know that it's ready to go until I can get it on the boat. So we can start to pivot onto some other things that need to get taken care of here in the future. One of them is sitting right in front of me on the bench here. Lots of fun stuff coming up soon. Anyways, thank you guys so much for watching. Don't forget to like, subscribe, share this, leave a comment, all that good stuff. And until the next video, thanks for watching, guys. See you next time.